Welcome back to Left Bench Sports.
We'll be talking about the Giants loss to the Jets, the Chiefs loss to the Broncos, college football, and the NBA.
The Giants lost their 6th game to the Jets.
I mean, let's be honest, man. The Jets and the Giants are both probably the two worst teams in the entire NFL, in my opinion.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but at least the defense was good, but neither team could score at all. It was pretty bad.
I mean, Thibodeau was an absolute animal for the Giants.
Yeah,
3 sacks.
I mean, 13-10. You can't. I don't know how you have a game end 13-10 with overtime. It just doesn't make sense.
Both kickers for both teams, to be honest, were atrocious. The 30-yard kicks they had were, easy pickings for even a high school kicker.
The Jets kicker didn't miss a field goal, but
Still, Giants kicker, he needs some. I don't even know where he is.
Yeah. Daniel Jones was out for the 3rd straight week with a neck injury.
His collarbone injury is definitely affecting him. I heard his shoulder's not even. He can't throw well either with it.
Yeah. He needs to come back. These people saying Tyrod Taylor is better. He's just not. It's that simple.
I think he is.
He's. I don't know. I just feel like he cannot throw the ball. Daniel Jones is the only quarterback the Giants have who could actually throw the ball. So, yeah. But I still think we need Daniel Jones back in order to do something.
I mean, you need Daniel Jones and you need an O-line, to be honest. I mean, the Giants have pretty much no O-line right now. A lot of their guys are hurt, and second of all, it's a lot of rookies. You guys just spent, there's just not much left there.
3rd-string quarterback Tommy DeVito didn't get a single passing yard. He did rush for a touchdown, but, I feel bad for the guy. They didn't let him throw the ball past the line of scrimmage.
Tommy DeVito sucks.
I mean, he didn't really get much of an opportunity. So, I feel for him in that sense.
Tommy DeVito's a bum, man.
But they did say this guy out of college was a handoff specialist. So,
I mean, he threw the ball, once or twice, I think, in the game?
Yeah.
He had one throw, and it was slapped down by one of the defensive guys.
Yeah, I think the term handoff specialist works really well.
Yeah, it works really great for him.
Graham Gano was awful. This is the 2nd straight week where he missed a field goal. Not only did he miss a field goal, he missed 2 field goals, and they were both relatively short.
They're within 30, 40 yards.
Yeah. Also, Adoree Jackson, cornerback for the Giants, normally a very good player for them, but made an awful PI penalty, causing the Jets to win an OT with the field goal. But
I mean, there's just plays like that are incredibly stupid that some guys make.
It was dumb.
And it just cost them the game there.
It was definitely dumb, but what was happening with the Giants that game? They didn't deserve to win. They were going to lose.
No, they were throwing away every opportunity they had.
Without that penalty, I think they still lose. But there were a couple of bright spots on Sunday. Saquon Barkley, 128 rushing yards, pretty solid, especially when you're getting handed the ball 36 times. But
I mean, 36 times where your offensive line can barely block for you too.
Yeah. Kayvon Thibodeau carried the defense, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks.
I mean, Thibodeau, man, he's a good player. He's doing great.
I'm happy to see him develop after being the 1st-round pick for the Giants last year.
He's playing really well this year for them, and he's just going to keep on growing.
Other side of the field, the Jets also had their struggles. Sub 300 total yards on offense. Garrett Wilson, though, still able to succeed. 100 receiving yards, including a huge catch in OT.
Yeah. Good play from him.
Yeah. He's obviously he's able to carry the Jets a lot. They lost McCole Hardman. He went back to the Chiefs. So their receiving weapons are kind of iffy.
Yeah, except for him, and they just kind of need to rely on him since he's now probably their main weapon.
Yeah, Alan Lazard,
he's okay.
Yeah, he's all right. Breece Hall, great game, 93 total yards, huge touchdown for the Jets. Their only touchdown, yep.
A beautiful 50-yard play where he slipped through multiple times and had tackles on his own.
Yeah, it was a nice touchdown. But at the end of the day, Zach Wilson just needs to throw the ball away.
He takes way too long. He runs around, and he's just, he's trying to find that perfect throw. But in games like, where your O-line's not the greatest either, and, you don't have that time to do that. You just got to get off a pass that looks good. You can't get the perfect pass.
You can't get sacked on 4th down multiple times in a week.
No.
And expect to win, games. He just got carried by his defense and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. That's pretty much it.
I mean, overall, the game was just an absolute mess of a game, to be honest. I mean, if you look at it, there were so many opportunities each team had going either way that could have either changed the tide of the game for the Giants, and, well, the Jets won, but still for them too. but it was anyone's game there up until the point where the Giants in the end made those stupid, dumb, really stupid mistakes.
Is it time for the Jets to maybe trade for another quarterback or sell?
I mean, to be honest, I think there's probably some agents out there that are a lot better than Zach Wilson, but he's doing okay. It's just he needs to throw the ball off a lot sooner. He just takes way too long in the pocket to throw.
Yeah, I mean, if the Jets want to try to do something this year, they have to find
Well, they could
someone
easily
else.
do that, 100%.
I know Zach Wilson had his fair share of solid games this year, but there's zero consistency.
Yeah, 100%. His consistency is not great.
Awful. That'll do it for this week's Giants coverage.
Don't go anywhere. Jesse will be giving his weekly rant on the Chiefs-Broncos game.
Welcome back to Left Bench Sports. Now, you're all in for a real treat today because the Chiefs lost to that team, yes, that team that got 70 put up on them by Miami last week, and I'm about to have a field day with it. So where do I even begin with this? Well, I guess if I have to start somewhere, we're going to start with the O-line. I don't know what they were doing in that game. I mean, I don't know what else to say except for that they got beat at every single part of this. Plain old simple. Mahomes sacked 3 times, 6 other tackles in the backfield for a loss. I mean, how do you let that happen? How do you let that happen to your quarterback? I mean, this was a guy who led you to many Super Bowls in the past, and now you're just going to let him get killed. I mean, and let's talk about Mahomes for a minute. I mean, he was having just a horrible game. Letting himself get sacked. I mean, not even trying to break tackles like that. I think my 80-year-old grandmother could have broken more tackles and probably made more plays than Mahomes if they gave her a helmet and some football pads. 2 picks is ridiculous from him as well. And I mean, it could be understood if you had a good team that you were playing with a solid defense, but that's not the Denver Broncos. I mean, the Chiefs should have had this game won easy. Like it was baking a cake. No problems there, nothing. And, I mean, even the Broncos O-line did poorly too, but the difference was there that Russell Wilson was actually able to complete passes and scramble when pressure came. So, I mean, I don't know what the Chiefs' excuse was for this game, but it's not good enough. Rushing game was horrible, averaging 3 yards per carry. I mean, you can never get any first downs by doing that. Passing game was pretty decent from the Chiefs, and statistically it was actually better than the Broncos, and they still managed to lose. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm dreading next week, because if they get humiliated by the Broncos like this, I can't even begin to imagine what happens in Frankfurt. I mean, someone please explain to me how a team that won the Super Bowl last year against a really tough team loses to the Denver Broncos. Now, on a more realistic note, I don't think that this is all that the Chiefs have to offer this year, and I think it's just a fluke game for them, but they should not have lost this bad. I mean, there's no excuse for it. To the Denver Broncos is unbelievable. I'd even go out on a limb and be able to say that the Giants could beat the Broncos in a game like that, and the Giants are last in the league right now. But that's another topic. That's all for me this week, and up next on Left Bench Sports is Smitty and Jake on college football.
Welcome back to college football on Left Bench Sports. Week 9 of college football is in the books, and we have a ton of movement in the rankings once again. The first game we're talking about is Kansas and Oklahoma. Kansas pulled off the huge upset, and they played great against a previously ranked number 6 Oklahoma team.
Kansas started off very strong with a 14-0 lead. Their first touchdown came off a pick six, and their second TD was a run in the second quarter by Daniel Hishaw. Jake, so far, what are your thoughts on this game?
So at this point, obviously I was shocked because Kansas was kind of so-so this whole year. They started off undefeated, and maybe they could be a good team this year. Well, then they lose to some kind of middle-of-the-road teams. Well, then they come out here and beat Oklahoma. Definitely huge. So, but this point in the game, I didn't think Oklahoma was out of it yet, but definitely a little shocked. Could Kansas really beat them?
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma scored 21 answered points, though, before a field goal from Kansas to end the half. So I think, everyone thought Oklahoma's back. They're going to get back into what they usually do, and they're going to win this game. But that didn't really happen. Kansas started the second half with a field goal and a Jason Bean quarterback run to make it 26-21.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Jason Bean, he's really fast. I don't know if you saw, but he ran from about the 50-yard line to the end zone.
Yeah.
I don't know what his 40 time is, but I think he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest quarterback.
I didn't catch the game actually. I was somewhere else, but like Jason Bean, like you said, he has to be like one of the fastest QBs in college football right now.
No, yeah, super fast. I mean that run for a touchdown was pretty crazy. The rest of the game was back and forth until the final minute, where David Neal ran it in to make it 38-33 for Kansas. Oklahoma did have a few chances at the end zone, but they couldn't pull through. Dylan Gabriel didn't get much with his arm this game.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel didn't have a good game like how he did against Texas. Like Texas, he had a good game, but like this game, he only had 171 passing yards, which is like not like an all-time low for him, but like it was pretty low for him.
Yeah, I think we've been seeing that with a lot of teams. Like this team looks really good, they look unbeatable, but then they'll go up against a bad team and they'll just completely play awful. They'll just lose. Like UNC last week, I thought they were going to be unbeatable until they played like a good ranked matchup, but then they go up and lose, and then they go up to lose to Georgia Tech again this week. But Kansas moves up to 22 and Oklahoma back to 10th. So a little bit of movement in the top 10. Interesting to see.
Yeah.
The next game we're covering is Oregon versus Utah. Great matchup in the Pac-12. Although I think everyone thought it would be a lot closer than it was. Personally, from the start, I definitely had Oregon. I don't know who'd you have.
I had Oregon also. Like the way they've been playing, Oregon has just been great football from Oregon. Like top 10, they're top 10. They're like just a great team.
Yeah, despite the loss to Washington, they've been playing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if they played them again, they could definitely beat them.
Yeah, but like Washington is also a top 5 team.
Yeah.
Like so at the time when Oregon played them, Oregon was also top 5 at the time. But like since that loss, they've taken it as momentum, and they've just have been blowing out teams left and right.
Mhm. So yeah, not a close game at all. Utah is supposed to be one of the better teams. They were ranked about like 13th, but they lost 35-6. I definitely would have thought they put up more than the fight.
Yeah.
But the Oregon offense was dominant. Bo Nix had another great game. And the Oregon defense completely shut them down, not a touchdown allowed. Looking at the Pac-12, what teams are standing out right now or playoff contenders?
Well, definitely Oregon and Washington. Like those are just 2 top 10 teams that are able to make the college football playoffs right now.
Yeah, I think that one's definitely a no-brainer. I mean, I thought Utah maybe would have a chance in the beginning, but
after that game, their ranking dropped. Like they're still a good team, but they're not like high up there like how Washington and Oregon are.
yeah, definitely a great team, but not playoff contention team. USC we thought would be really good in the beginning, but their defense doesn't look that good.
Their offense is good.
Yeah.
The last year's Heisman winner, Caleb Williams, he's good, but their defense just isn't as good as their offense.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting next year when the 12-team playoff gets introduced to see how that works out, because teams like Oregon, Washington, like Alabama right now, there's a few teams that are outside the top 4 that I think have a really good chance at making a run in the playoffs,
Yep.
but they don't really have a chance because it's only 4 teams, so that'll definitely be interesting when the 12-team playoff gets implemented.
Definitely.
The last game we're covering is USC versus Cal. Not the most anticipated matchup, but definitely a pretty good game because it was a really high-scoring one. USC has been pretty lackluster lately. Their defense hasn't been showing up much, letting up a lot of points. But Caleb Williams had a great game after struggling 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame, 369 yards for passing and 2 passing touchdowns. This was a back-and-forth game most of the time. It was 28-17 Cal at half. but USC was able to respond in the third quarter. Cal made it a 2-touchdown lead in the beginning of the fourth. Did you think USC was going to lose again?
As of right now, like during the game, that when Cal scored those 2 touchdowns before at the beginning of the fourth, I didn't think USC was going to come back because like you said, their defense hasn't been good. Like that just showed it. And plus they're down 13 or 14 points, so that's 2 touchdowns right there. It's hard to get 2 touchdowns in one quarter against a decent team.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely thought they were going to lose because coming off back-to-back losses, they weren't looking that good. I just thought they were going to lose. I didn't think they had enough left in the tank with 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but they went on a run. 3 touchdowns in 8 minutes, definitely impressive on the offensive part. But a wild ending. Cal scored a touchdown with a minute remaining. They decided to go for the win for 2. They just didn't get it.
They were short. That was all. So then they're on the USC won 50-49, and it was just a great ending to the game.
A great ending to the game. If they were to have gotten that 2-point conversion, that would have been a really disappointing game for USC, and they definitely would have moved out of the top 25.
Yep. All right. Thanks for watching college football on Left Bench Sports this week, and stay tuned for more coverage next week.
Hello and welcome back to Left Bench Sports. I'm Myles Berkowitz and this is Luke Jaclin. Now we'll be giving our NBA season preview.
So Myles, who do you think is going to win the NBA championship this year?
Well, I, for one, have the Boston Celtics winning the NBA championship. Joe Mazzulla, he's not a great coach, but he has the best top 6 roster in the league. The additions of Porzingis and Holiday, I think they're really going to benefit the team. Hopefully in crunch time they'll actually know how to score in the fourth quarter. And Tatum and Brown, obviously, they're great. We lost Marcus Smart. He was my favorite player, but I think Drew Holiday is going to make up for him just fine. So
I actually have the Milwaukee Bucks winning the finals this year. I think they're overall just the best team in the league. Dame and Giannis, I don't know how you stop that. You got Giannis who can go to the basket pretty much whenever he wants and just get a bucket, and Dame shooting threes they're just going to be unstoppable. They also got Brook Lopez, who's another solid scorer and a good defender. Chris Middleton's he was an all-star, I think, a couple years ago. He can score. And their bench is pretty good. They got Pat Connaughton, Jay Crowder, and I think they're just the best team in the league, and I don't see anyone stopping them this year.
Well, the real matchup's really Celtics-Bucks. I mean, we all assume they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's really going to be the finals, judging by our prediction. But, I mean, the Celtics don't have anybody who can't match up with Giannis 1 through 5 at least. I know Derek White, he's not the tallest guy, but he can match up with Giannis, at least hold his own. I mean, Dame, we can guard him. I think it's going to be a defensive series, at least from the Celtics standpoint, and that's why I think they're going to win.
No, it's going to be Knicks Bucks in the Eastern Conference Final. Yep, Knicks
Bucks. Write it down.
Mm-hmm. And,
Well, we both agree that the Eastern Conference Finals is really going to be the finals. Now, Luke, who do you have to win the MVP?
I got Devin Booker, from the Suns. I know we're talking about the Eastern Conference teams now. I got a Western Conference player. I think he's just a great scorer overall. He's going to get even better this year. They got Durant and Beal there just to help him out, space out the court. Can't really double anyone on that team anymore. So I think Devin Booker is going to win MVP. He's a great player. He can get double-digit assists with all those guys there now. He's a good defender and just a great scorer.
Yeah, I mean, the top 3 of Durant, Booker, and Beal, I don't think anybody's going to even be remotely close to even able to guard it. But I think Beal's great. Devin Booker's great. Durant's unstoppable. But with Devin Booker, he's obviously already averaged like 27, 28 last season. Now he's going to have all that space to operate, and I can see where you're coming from. Yeah. But, going through the whole offseason, everybody was talking about the Celtics, the Bucks, Knicks, the Cavs. Nobody was talking about the Heat, and I think Jimmy Butler's going to win MVP. He's just going to isolate. He's in his own world, obviously, in the playoffs, but I think this is finally going to be the year where he takes it to the regular season. I think he's going to average like 29, 7 and 7. He has shooters around him, so the spacing's going to be there with him. Bam with the dribble handoffs. Obviously, that's their bread and butter play. Spo, he's hopefully going to get him to play 60 games at least. I know the requirement. They implemented the requirement where you have to play like 60-some games to win MVP. So hopefully Jimmy does that, but he's just coming off the hottest stretch of basketball I think I've ever seen, honestly, when he just dominated the Bucks. But it's going to be a really tight race between Jimmy, Jokic, Giannis. With you're saying that the Bucks are going to win the chip, Giannis has to have a good year, and obviously LeBron.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's obviously a great player. You know, one thing I noticed is that we both have guards winning MVP this year. Past couple of years, it was Giannis and Jokic and Embiid, some big guys, and now we both have guards winning MVP. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, we had big guys winning it a couple last year, but I think this is really the time of the NBA where we see that transition from the guard league to the big centers. We have Porzingis, obviously, he's great. Wembanyama coming into the league, obviously, he can do it all. But the thing that I'm looking forward to most this season is those teams that nobody really expects and that actually does really well this year.
Yeah, so who do you have being the best surprise team this year?
For me, it's the Magic. I think they just have so much lottery picks. They've been terrible for like 10 years or whatever now. Ever since Dwight Howard left, they've just been terrible, and they've been accumulating talent through all those picks that they've had. Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs. I think their guard rotation might be one of the best in the league. When it's all season's end, everybody's going to realize how just solid Markelle Fultz is. Anthony Black, I think he's going to have a good year. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony. They have great defenders also. Jonathan Isaac, he can guard 1 through 5 when he's healthy. I know he hasn't played since like the bubble, which is kind of amazing. But Wendell Carter they also have, and I think for me, sneaky all-star Franz Wagner this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think there could be a good team this year.
Well, Luke, who do you have?
I actually have the Detroit Pistons. I think they could be solid this year. They got a bunch of... They've been terrible this past couple of years, so they've got a bunch of good young players. They got Cade Cunningham, who I'm pretty sure is the first overall pick. And Jane Ivey, who is another top pick. And then this year they got Sar Thompson. 3 like guards that are all top picks. And they could all end up being superstars this year. They got Jalen Duren, who is a big guy who could be solid, Isaiah Stewart. And they got a good coach, Monty Williams. So I think they can be a really good team this year.
Yeah, both these teams that we mentioned had new coaches. I think that could really make a big difference. I mean, obviously looking at the new coaches, Monty Williams, he's one of the best. He left the Suns. Another good team that I think people don't really see as a threat are the Sixers. I know as of this recording, James Harden just got traded this morning. But they got a new coach, and I think the new coaches are going to make a big difference. Thanks for watching, as we will see you next week on Left Bench Sports.